Welcome back to Inktober Day 15. Today's prompt is ragged, and so I had an idea of doing like a tattered pirate flag or ragged clothing. Then I thought maybe like a shipwrecked pirate ship on an island or something. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. That it might take me a while to do, but I figured that's the whole point, right? Give it a shot, see how it goes. All right, so quit the yapping, get to drawing. So, this is Inktober Day 15. I'm doing a pirate ship. So this is meant to be a shipwrecked pirate ship, and I think I'm going to go kind of heavy on not so much on the detail, but not so much on detail. I think I'm going to go heavier on the blacks on this one. I think I'll just have it like crash landed somewhere, and maybe here. I'm trying to envision. I grabbed a reference of a massive boat that looks really cool, but I'm not obviously going to go through and detail all of that necessarily. I'm going to give hints of it, but there's a lot of detail on this boat. Something like, I'm also going to try to make it look a little bit more rugged. And of course, it's shipwrecked, so I want to have them, maybe they hit a rock or something here, making up a little rock. I don't know. Maybe the other half of the boat is on this side. It's kind of like smashed into, so it doesn't have to make perfect sense. I have a mast here, a mast maybe over there. They're going to have one of their, on the back of this, it's kind of like where this cabin would be, I guess. I know very little about boats, so I'm doing based on what I know, how I've done, like I've actually done puzzles and stuff with boats on them, and though I'm from Florida, I only ever gone on, I don't think I've ever been on a sailboat actually. No, that's not true. I have actually been on a sailboat. It just didn't go any further than intercoastal waters. A friend of ours had one. Forgot about that. So I just want to kind of draw it where it's like destroyed over here. Hit one of the masts coming up to the top here. Maybe they get shipwrecked during a storm or something, or it's an old shipwreck, you know. It used to be, there's a, Key West gets its nickname from, in Spanish they call it Cayo Hueso, Bone Island, and it's also called Bone Island in English, obviously, but most people in Spanish call it Cayo Hueso, and they don't, and I actually had to explain to one of the guys I work with, he's like, well, why is it even called that in Spanish, you know? I said, oh, it's because pirates used to use the island a lot, and they would crash on the reef and stuff, apparently, in storms and stuff. Anyway, there's a lot of shipwreckage and stuff, and so oftentimes, you know, they would find bones washed up on, like, in the coral. Anyway, the idea was that when they made the new part of Key West, and I don't know how much of this is true, this is just a story that I heard, that they basically paved over Bone, thus Bone Island. It was so littered with bones that they didn't have proper graves or whatever. It's crazy. It works for me. You know, this can be like I can do a rock better than that, but that's just going for the basic idea here. Just maybe a horizon back here. I was thinking about doing an island, so maybe just like a couple of palm trees, and I'll come back in and ink it so it looks more like a palm tree. Let's just say they're in the Caribbean somewhere. Maybe they crashed, landed on this island, and their boat's all tore up. There could be people. I mean, why not, right? Could have like a plume of smoke coming out here. Maybe they survived and they're just living off the island. That's not unheard of. The aftermath of a storm. The clouds are real chill looking. Let's do the generic bird. I didn't do that very well. Generic silhouette of a bird. And oh, you know what? To really make this a pirate ship too, I should have been I was gonna do, you know, crossbone and skull, but suppose can't really see it on this one. I didn't have to have it. It doesn't really matter if it's just a shipwreck. It's tattered and torn. Doesn't have to be a pirate ship actually, but we can make it seem like there's people living here. Maybe some bushes back here somewhere, and maybe that's what they did. Maybe they hit some coral rock or some rock formation or something that's over here. Some pieces of the ship I'm having like floating around here. Oh, I should put barrels floating on the water. So must. Maybe it's barrels of rum, you know? Who knows? But the barrels, yeah, they tend to be small on the top and then they're rounded a little more than I did here. Don't have to be perfect. Maybe a trunk floating out here somewhere. That'd be cool to me. I'll thicken this up with some brush or something. You hint that it's a mountain maybe, and works for me. Here you go. So I went ahead and set everything up. I got my I got this India ink, which I've used this before, but I want to see how this performs compared to yesterday. Compared to yesterday. I don't even know what day it is. Yesterday I used the Manga Ink that came with this nib and nib holder, I guess. It is what this is, right? I used the Manga Ink that comes with it, and I think it's a little thinner than this is. This might be a little bit thicker, or at least, you know, flows a little, doesn't flow as easily, but it also doesn't spill everywhere. I mean, that helps if you don't hit the table or smack it in your hand, but I don't know if that's true. I'm just speculating. So I'm going to try this. Cool thing about this is I can be a little bit more messy because they're broken pieces of wood kind of floating in the ocean. This was meant to be like somebody's chest or something, like their belongings, like luggage back in the day, like an old shipwreck. And this is kind of calmer water because the reef, I don't know if you've ever been to the Keys, the reef is really, it calms the water down quite a bit. So if you're thinking you're going to go to Key West and see a bunch of ocean waves, you it's more like the Gulf than it is the Atlantic, and it certainly ain't no Maverick, I can tell you that much. Some of the wood is buoyant, some of it's not because it's waterlogged maybe. Like I said, this can be twisted up too, so it doesn't really matter if it looks even proportionately because it's been broken. So wherever it's been destroyed, I have the liberty to change. Yeah, see, this doesn't want to go as far, but I feel like it stays put better. So I'm just trying to make this look like it's twisted up a little bit. Yeah, see what I did? I flicked it over there. That's all right. So it's definitely me and not the ink. Cool thing about learning to use this pen, especially for me, is having the opportunity to see what these should look like when you're doing them, in real life as compared to, like, say, a digital version of it, because I didn't have anything to reference it on. I mean, I had an idea of what it might look like, but this makes it very obvious to me. Like if you look at a digital pen and it says that it's a dry brush, or a dry pen or whatever, or pen drying out, it's a very short period of time that it dries out before you don't have any ink on here at all. But if you make that into a whole brush situation, then for digital, that makes sense. You can get some pretty cool effects that you can't get very easily on regular paper. Second straight ahead, palm trees, because I'm from Florida and I've looked at them my whole life, but also because they're easy. But no, it's from airbrushing too. There's a trick to do it where you airbrush, you can use what are they called? They're called dagger strokes. That's what they're called. It took me a second. You use dagger strokes to get the effect that it's a palm tree. A dagger stroke is just like what it sounds like. It's actually digitally it happens by accident, and people don't desire it. And I'm like, actually, it's kind of funny because you do that on purpose with an airbrush. Digital, what'll happen is it'll taper off really sharply, and you'll get these really pointed kind of look to it. Some may find it desirable, some may not, but it's on purpose when you do it on airbrush. And palm trees are not straight. I don't know why. I mean, they can be, but they're usually not. Not in the wild. You're not going to see them perfectly straight up and down. Depends on the palm tree too. But if it grew out here on this random island, chances are it doesn't look like this. It's going to look like the perfect little Caribbean palm tree, It's just how we compartmentalize them, but that's not actually how they actually look. It works for me. Maybe I can do that little mountain I was talking about. Yeah, that works. So there's a lot going on here. Once I could take that wash back out, but I may not. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. It's going to kind of stipple a little bit. Maybe it's like a exposed reef or something. I don't know. I just keep working stuff till I feel like I'm happy with it. Yo-ho, yo-ho. Well, it is what it is on that one. I don't know. Ooh, let me do this barrel. I assume it's full of rum. You know what I mean? I'm not sure this feels like water or if it feels like it's sand, but let's just pretend it's water. It could be sand. I mean, it could be when the tide rushes out. Why not? However you want to interpret it. I think if I add a little bit of ripples or whatever around the, maybe right around here, it might help. I don't know. Maybe it'll seem more like water. I'm not usually that terrible at water, so I don't know what I'm doing. I had to do my generic birds, I used to always draw clouds like this when I was a kid for Scoopy for scary, like Halloween type stuff. But they're really just kind of like my interpretation of a like a shadow cloud, like a very little bit of moisture up there. That's my intention. It's not too terrible looking. I'm trying to get my hand away from this as much as possible, and I'm still catching ink. No, it's fine. I am. I'm talking pretty. It's more than I think you realize. When I do it, it's like a 15-minute video of me just talking nonstop. After it's crunched down, it's just jump cuts. Nobody wants to see me draw the whole damn thing, I don't think. So this is a mast, yeah. Just trying to keep my hand away from this paper because I keep wanting to grab it and smudge this ink everywhere. Let's see. Yeah. So I don't know. I lived in Key West for a little over a year. I had a girlfriend down there long time ago. Her family lived there. Well, her mom and her dad, and she was an only child, so we lived together for a while. Actually, up in Central Florida, we lived together. Then I moved down there. Obviously, she's next for a reason. We didn't work out, but we were together for quite a while, a couple of years, Anyway, in that time, ended up living in Key West, and everybody always thinks, "Oh, it's gonna be so fun." I'm like, yeah. I mean, do you want to work at Disney? Still work. I mean, I went to work more than I did anything else, so can't really say it was a super fun, good time. Oh, I had fun though. Sometimes it's not like I hated it or anything. It's just the only thing about it is it can be very what's the word? Not lonely. It can be kind of, you can get, if you're claustrophobic at all, it can kind of grate on your nerves a little bit. And I'm not. I just like to be able to roam and travel around. I don't like being stuck on an island, basically. I mean, I got used to being there, but after a while, I'm like, I want to see something different. You see the same, it's only, it's 8 square miles or 6 square miles? I can't remember now. It's not a very big place. And there's only so much road you can travel, I mean, it's mostly just like neighborhood streets. You can only do so much touristy type stuff. I've never really been much of a touristy kind of person anyway. Like, I like to do my own thing when I go places like that. I did do some of it. Like, I went on a couple of like sunset cruises, and they also call them like booze cruises, where they pass out just cheap beer, but you can just have a couple of drinks and hang out on the boat during the day and go look at the fish and stuff. Or you can go at a night, a sunset cruise where you see the sun actually set on the water, which is really cool. But like I said, there's only so much of that I can do. I mean, you can jet ski and all that stuff too, but as I said, I was mostly working, so I can't say nothing about that. If you're just touristing down there, then yeah, yeah, it's a blast, I'm sure. Did Fantasy Fest a couple times, which is basically Mardi Gras in Key West. Really wild. They actually did it. Fantasy Fest, they did it for a way to get tourists to come down in the slow season. It worked. They make a lot of money that way because, it's like around Halloween and there's not really much going on down there. Nobody really goes down to the Keys for that around that time. So they were looking for ways to kind of bring the adult nightlife in there a little more. And it worked. A lot of people going on there. I mean, I don't know how popular it is now, but back then, this was in the early 2000s, it was popping off, man. People would go there from all over the place. Talking girls, I am not joking about this. Girls wearing nothing but paint, all walks of life, all age ranges. People having sex in the street, I'm not even joking. Crazy. That's a crazy place to go. If you're a religious person, don't go to the Keys. That's a wild place. But if you're not, go have you some fun. All right, this is getting hard to reach. I mean, there's other stuff that happens at Fantasy Fest besides just the crazy, but it is pretty much just one giant party. It's like I said, it's like Mardi Gras, but more focused on just partying, like just the booze. It's not like it's a big, Mardi Gras, you have like the cakes and the this and that and the other. It's QS is just crazy. It just kind of like takes the culture out of it and just goes straight for Halloween plus do whatever you want. So I did that a couple times. It's kind of cool to see people just like being crazy. Kind of fun. Boy, were they crazy. They have some crazy people. Oh, I realize there's a lot of negative space over here. That works. I'm missing this one. QS is a wild place, man. But yeah, Kyle Whistle. It's where it gets its name. Bone Island. All the pirates shipwrecking. There's other stories in QS too, besides, there's Hemingway House and all that stuff and the touristy stuff, but there's a lot of ghost tours and stuff where people think, there's like a haunted doll, and there's like one business they said that they thought was haunted, and they had actually done something on the Discovery Channel about it, and they're like, oh, we found out people were just moving the stuff around and we didn't know anything about it. Like, just people just on different shifts weren't telling other people what was going on, and they started thinking it was a ghost. I'm like, that makes sense. Jump to the most illogical conclusion you can possibly come up with. I mean, they had like ghost hunters down there or whatever. Like, all right, I can't explain it. It has to be a ghost. Or hear me out, somebody else that's working there is moving your stuff around. That's pretty funny. What am I doing? All right, so I think I'm going to go a little darker on these tattered, torn things, just so they look a little more ragged and worn. That's a little better. Also give it some more depth too. Like this one is much further away, and obviously it should be lighter as it goes away. When it's really, really far away, but it is not that far, so it doesn't matter that much. But I'll emphasize it anyway because it's an illustration and it's not a picture. So see, it's had better days. Maybe they founded Key West over here, and that's what they're doing. They're partying. I guess you could see that horizon line right there. That'll make it feel a little bit more. This cloud line, not horizon line. Sorry. There's one here. So just to give it a little bit of depth back there. But this is meant to be another tattered one here. And then so this mass is sort of like falling apart and laying in front of this, and it's leaning up against that, and then that is behind it. So I'm gonna try to, hopefully I'm making sense of that right. I was thinking about this a lot. Something that helps me not feel so much pressure on myself is just to stop thinking like calling myself a what's the word I'm looking for? Don't call yourself so much a I'm like, I'm an artist, I'm an inker, I'm a comic artist, whatever. I just say that sometimes to give it some kind of frame, but really I just do stuff. I don't think of myself as one thing or another only. I'm just a person who likes to do art sometimes, and music and all the things. I mean, technically, professionally, I'm a software engineer, but I don't feel that way either. I just feel like somebody who messes around with the computers sometimes. If you just kind of avoid the label, I don't know, personally, it just makes me feel less like I have to stress about what I'm doing. I need to learn all the things and for the longest time I've been like that, where I feel like I got to learn everything about something. But doing that, I mean, yes, it got me better in a lot of ways, but people don't care that you spent that much time. If you care, that's all that matters. But they're not going to be like, bravo, it took you this many hours to learn how to do that, or now you can consider yourself a master or something. I don't know. Labels are stupid. Oh, I just realized, look what I did. We'll just have to pretend that there's a horizon line here, and that this is like an island going up. Man, I screwed that up bad. See what I do? I thought I had it connected. Look what I did. I'll just have to change the perspective up a little bit. It's okay. It makes a little bit more sense that way. Just seeing if my horizon line makes any sense. So let's just say it disappears back there. It can be. There, that works. All right then. Now that I fixed that boo-boo. So you have this mast falling. This is sort of in front of it. And so then I'll make this one a little bit further behind. Just using this shading so that I can kind of make it look like it's a little further behind the one that's in front of it. Of course, it could be a different color, but I'm using just black. So I'm trying to use hatching to create that effect. So that looks like it's more in front. Here, this could be torn and sitting in front. This feels like it's sitting in front of this one though, especially because of its positioning. So what I can do is actually darken that one quite a bit more. And I think it'll be all right. Yeah, I think that looks cleaner personally. It's not wanting to flow. Sometimes the paper will help it. It kind of like holds extra ink, and then sometimes it kind of clogs it up like that. That's a huge amount. So now it feels like this one is sitting in front of that one. Just have the mask like busted and whatever. Maybe go a little harder on this one because that's drying up too much. Oh, what are you doing? All right, I think that looks a lot better to me. But since that one's so much further away and these two are really dark, I'm going to push that one back a little further too. And by that, I just mean I'm just adding a little bit more darkness. Also not cleanly hatching, which, you know, I don't really do very much anyway, but I just want it to look a little bit more tattered and worn. All right, that works for me. And so it is. I think this is going to be done here. Just a second. I'm going to make sure I got my outline, these tears, so they look a little bit more predominant. And then add a little bit of the horizon in there. This ship has seen better days, so not a perfect looking set of birds in the sky, but that's okay. See, that's what I'm saying, like this dry brush effect like this. Digitally, it's really easy to do, but you don't really have as much time doing it on paper. So you have to get going. Last thing, I'm just going to throw a little bit of shading on these boards. As in, finally, I'm going to sign it because I think that is good for this InkTober. I'm having a lot of fun doing these, so if you like what you're seeing, if you like these, please let me know. Let me add a little bit of texture in there. If you like what you see, if you're having fun, if you're doing it, let me know. I'm just trying to keep myself going and working on something. That looks better to me. All right, yeah, I think that'll do it because otherwise I'm going to overwork this too much. And so with that, I shall see you in the next one, and I'm going to sign. Cool. Peace.